going on, people? I guess I'm going to start introducing myself in the videos, just to kind of familiarize me with you guys. My name's Blaine Riley. I do fitness, I guess you could say Christian fitness content. I love riding motorcycles. I love incorporating that into my content, which you will get to see later. But I guess I want to start doing a kind of a new format of video. I've been doing a lot of more fancy edits, and I kind of want to just go to more of a relaxed kind of style of video. So kind of just show you the workouts, show you some meals, show you maybe the ride to the gym, maybe the talk or topic of the day while we're riding to the gym. Today we're going to try to rig up the motorcycle to where I can show you guys the drive, and also kind of talk to you guys, whether it's like a planned topic or if it's just random. But we're gonna try to rig up the mic somehow so that you can see what I'm seeing, but also hear my voice in the helmet somehow with the Rode mics that we have. So expect that to come. But right now we're just making some breakfast, kind of show you what I've been eating lately. I already ate breakfast with my girlfriend and some other friends at a place here in town at college. I'm in college still. So we went to a little spot and got some breakfast. I got 3 eggs and 2 turkey sausages, but I still want a little bit more before we go work out. So I'm going to make what I typically make, which is we'll do 3 whole eggs, some egg whites, and some low-carb bread. I'm currently cutting, so I do a lot of low-carb options just to kind of cut some calories out, and I'll do the egg whites as well just to cut some calories out. So let's go ahead and crack into that. I don't plan on editing or cutting out a bunch of this stuff because I want it to be genuine. I want you guys to see who I am. I feel like a lot of times there's this expectation to edit a lot, especially with Instagram and YouTube videos, but at the same time it's also cool to just be genuine and just kind of speak your mind, and see the mess up, see when I don't say exactly what I was planning on saying. We kind of eyeball the egg whites. It's usually 120, 130 grams of egg whites. So I got 128 there. And then since we already had eggs earlier, we'll just do 2 eggs today instead of 3. So we already had 3 scrambled eggs. Let's spray this pan. But typically on my cuts, I'll do lower carb options. Not because carbs or anything are bad, but just because those low carb options and the low fat food options are typically significantly lower calories. So sticking with the low carb bread or low carb tortillas, low carb tortillas are 40 calories or something like that. And low carb bread, typically good ones, are 35 calories a slice, which is tremendous. And this kind of reminds me, I was talking to a buddy yesterday, and he texted me the day before and asked me what bread I use. And I told him the bread that I use, the carb-free bread. And I told him, I was there's multiple low-carb breads, though, that are as long as it's under 50 calories, it's better off than just normal bread. And then the next day he comes up to me and he's like, hey, instead of getting that bread, I instead got this Dave's Killer Bread, which is 160 calories for 2 pieces. Or it might even have been 1 piece. And it's nutrient dense, which is good. But it's honestly, why get that? Because you can get the lower carb options and cut out so many more calories. And he was basically saying, well, it's like fake fiber. And I'm like, well, I don't really know what fake fiber is. Like, fiber's fiber. And in those low carb breads and options like that, they are putting insoluble fiber in there as the main carbohydrate, which is kind of cutting the carbs. And for you guys that don't know, insoluble fiber is basically fiber that your body doesn't absorb, and you basically just, crap it out. But it's a way to cut calories dramatically. And I told him to get the low carb option, and he ended up doing the Dave Killer bread, which it gets a lot of people. People start getting like whole grain breads, or they start getting like Dave's Killer bread, thinking that they're doing like the healthier option. Which, yeah, it's nutrient dense, has, good grains and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out. People might disagree with that, but that's facts. And at the end of the day, they think they're making a healthier option, but sometimes even those whole grain breads or the Dave's Killer breads are more calories than just white bread. I know Greg Doucette, doesn't really like the low carb options because some can be, not as good tasting, and he'll just stick with white bread. And even white bread sometimes, actually most times, is less calories than like the whole wheat options. So everyone makes these like whole wheat choices, and they're typically more calories. It's kind of like the same scenario with like how everyone thought brown rice was the best decision ever for like 10 years during the 2000s. Everyone was getting brown rice, but then you find out like, oh, it's actually like better off to get white rice. So just because something may seem healthier, at least for me and anyone in the bodybuilding / lifting community, it's calories in, calories out, and that's kind of the biggest thing. You obviously want to stay healthy and get nutrient dense food, but in regards to breads, calories in, calories out. We're gonna throw some toast in, and then we'll go over there and talk. Ciao, kitty. So, I don't know about your guys' cats, but ours, this is Binks. She's still a kitten, but she's bad about getting on the table and trying to eat her food, so we gotta kind of watch her. So sorry if she gets up here, but here's the finished product. No, kitty. Here's the finished product. She is gonna have to get locked up. We made our toast, and you might be like wondering, what is this crap all over? So we got ketchup. We got sugar-free ketchup, which is just another way to cut out some calories, getting the sugar-free option. And then sugar-free syrup on our toast. I really love doing like butter and honey on my toast, like on the box, or like just in general. It's kind of what I used to do. So this is kind of a good way to kind of get the same feeling, like the sweetness on your toast. So I just do some syrup on the toast, and then syrup all over the eggs. It might seem gross to you, but when you start using sugar-free syrup on your cuts, you'll start to realize you'll put it on everything just because it's so good. Let's go ahead and try this. I already know how it's going to taste, but yeah. And what's funny is like the two of these combined, I guess, besides the ketchup, I'm basically eating French toast, right? Because you got eggs, and then you have the toast and syrup. So good. But this is basically it. I mean, people think the cuts have to be, or dieting and losing weight has to be hard, which it can be. And for some people, they want it to be strict. They want it to like, be the strict beef and rice, or be the, salmon and rice, or salmon or tuna and rice, or whatever. Like the strict lifting sort of diet. They need it to be that way just because, I don't know, it's like mental, which I kind of understand. But for me to make it like sustainable and something I can do for longer, like a lifelong change, I need to like substitute with healthy options of foods. Um, like this, for example, like you would never think you could just eat your typical eggs and toast while on basically like a show prep diet. If it wasn't for my cheat meals on the weekends, I could probably do a show, um, or at least prep for a show with the diet that I have, just because I'm able to get so low in calories during the week. Um, Using foods that I enjoy, so it's not like the typical diet foods. Um, I make, you know, I make pancakes every night. I make little pizzas every night. And as long as I'm hitting my calorie goals and my protein goals, I'm A-okay. Um, on the bulk, when I'm really, really trying to throw some weight around, I'll start worrying a little more about the carbs and where those are at. But outside of that, when I cut, I'm just worried about the calories and um, the protein. And I will say I do plan out my carbs a little bit on the cut just because I am typically lower carbs, so I do have to kind of plan out, okay, well, I need a little bit of carbs before my workout, just to have a little bit of energy. But you can eat the food you want on your diets. You just have to kind of get creative and think about it. And think, okay, what's my favorite food, or what do I typically eat in the morning? So like, let's say you typically make like a breakfast sandwich in the morning. You can usually replace all of those ingredients with something else. So like, for example, the eggs you could replace with egg whites, or at least like reduce the amount of whole eggs that you're using. The bread you could replace with like a lower carb option, whether you use like bread or you use like an English muffin. And then the condiments and stuff you could usually replace with a lower fat option. No food is bad food at all. But at the end of the day, we want to get the most out of our calories, meaning we want to get the most food that we can within our calorie range. So going with those lower calorie options is going to allow us to basically eat the same foods, but also eat a lot of food. So that's kind of the diet. I don't really know what I'm talking about right now. I didn't plan a topic to talk about, but just because we're eating, that's kind of the thing. I guess we could talk about like protein levels, because it's been changing lately. People are saying like it should be. I think it just got moved up to 1. Officially, I might be wrong. Like the recommendation is 1 gram per pound of body weight. But I typically recommend, that 1 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. Especially on the cut. Whoa, excuse me. Especially on the cut, like the more protein you're getting, more like, especially animal-based protein, like milks, red meat, eggs, things like that, you're going to be more satiated. So typically, the higher your protein is with like real food, the less you'll end up eating. And that's kind of why the keto diet or the carnivore diet is so successful, because the protein intake, not just protein either, like the animal-based protein intake is so high, and those foods are so satiating that it's super hard to actually overeat with those foods. So just higher protein in general, 1, helps you build muscle and recover, but 2, also is super satiating. So let's go ahead and finish this up, and we're gonna get outside, and we have to go get gas for the motorcycle first, and then we'll head over to the gym and hit a lift. All right, so for our pre-workout, we're having some Legion Pulse. This is blue raspberry, which is a really good flavor. But more importantly, we've been doing a fat burner. We were doing a stem-free fat burner for a while, and that was working great, but I wanted to switch it up and try the pre-workout fat burner. I'm not sure if it has caffeine in it, but this has been working awesome. And I like how it's a lot more. It's like, how many capsules are there? 45 capsules. So, I don't necessarily think you need fat burners, or pre-workout, or honestly any supplements. But that's what's cool about Legion, is they're super open about, like, you don't really need them, but if you have the financial abilities to buy them, they obviously help. So if you guys want to get some awesome supplements, always check out code Legion or code Riley at legionathletics.com for a discount. So we're gonna down this, and then, like I said, we're gonna go ride the motorcycle to the gas station, starting out. All right, you guys, so here she is. This is a 1999, I believe, Harley Davidson Sportster 883. Some people consider it like a female bike, but they're super dope for chopping out, so that's kind of what I'm in the process of doing. I've got the 6-over fork tubes. Thankfully I bought it, and the guy had already done a bunch of the electrical work, kind of simplifying all the electrics. Got rid of the master cylinder and put it down there. Really just simplified it. So it's honestly the best bike for kind of doing a chopper build. So we're going to do the hard frame and all that other fancy stuff for you motorcycle gurus. We're going to do all that in the winter time, when we can actually get it up on a lift, and when the weather's not so nice out that I can ride. So let's go ahead and get on over to the gas station. Now, I will forewarn you, this is my first time doing it with this chest mount, and it is a little bit shaky. Not even a little bit, it is very shaky, but thankfully the audio is not bad, which was, it was the opposite what I anticipated. I thought it was going to be like good quality video, but then bad audio, but it's actually the opposite. So just bear with me. Maybe eventually we'll mount the camera up here somehow, but we'll figure it out. Just bear with me. The biggest thing is I want you guys just to hear me talk. But we're gonna go get gas. I should get oil, but I am not going to today. I need to put oil in this thing. It has a slight oil leak, but it has a slight oil leak. It's been leaking like the last 2 weeks, which I'm not too concerned about. I know what it's coming from. It's honestly just, I need to get a new bolt for something. But oh, there's a bunch of construction. But anyway, we have shoulders today. I was gonna do shoulders at home in my garage gym, but I decided, you know what, I might as well, since I was planning on going over to the rec center here at my college and doing cardio anyway. I was like, I might as well just knock out the shoulder day there. And you might be asking, like, why wasn't that the plan anyway? And the answer is because the shoulder press machine at my college rec center is not the best. Like, I really don't enjoy it. So I try to avoid doing shoulders over there. But just out of convenience, we're gonna go ahead and do shoulders there today. Not really sure what our pressing motion's gonna be, or movement's gonna be. It might be that shoulder press machine. It might be dumbbells. It might even be a barbell shoulder press. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I typically stay away from shoulder press, but I found that I struggled with progressive overload with my shoulders. You know, all the other muscle groups you can kind of progressive overload, like your chest, you do incline bench every week, and with squats, or with legs, you squat every week, and you can kind of progressive overload. But with shoulders, for me, I typically stayed away from shoulder pressing. But I realized that's really the only movement for shoulders that you can progressive overload. So I've been doing at least 3 sets on my shoulders days, just so I can, you know, throw around some weight and progressively overload every week. Because with side raises, really, it's like the tension is so strong on the shoulders and on the elbows, it's super hard to progressive overload each week. and I've always been around, I would say between 15 and 30 pounds on side raises, and it's never gotten stronger. And I think that's just because, like I said, of your shoulder joints and your elbows and a whole bunch of other muscle groups that kind of restrict you from progressive overloading the way you should with like similar to how you do with other muscle groups. That might just be in my own head, but that's kind of the conclusion that I've came to. So I throw in some shoulder press to progressive overload the shoulders a little bit each week, and then the side raises will be more of a way to kind of just get some blood into the shoulders. But let's go ahead and get some gas, and then we'll come right back to you guys. All right, so we're actually going to go film a Bible verse just because I have the bike and stuff right now. If you guys follow me on Instagram, it's Blaine Riley Lifts. But I post a lot of Bible verses, so that's actually what we're gonna go do first before we go over to the gym. So I figured since we were talking about the shoulder day, I'll just go ahead and like give you guys an outline of what the shoulder day might look like, or what it is going to look like. So I typically start with rear delts, because rear delts, I believe, are like one of those muscle groups that people skip out on a lot, but they're like super important for the composition of the shoulder. Same for like chest. I think if you really start to drill chest or upper chest, which is an area that a lot of people skip out on, I think if you really drill the upper chest, your chest will become way more developed and look a lot better. And I see rear delts the same way, just for the shoulder. Once you start really emphasizing rear delts, your shoulder starts to come together and, you know, have that nice swoop from the back. So I always start with rear delts because it's easy to throw them in at the end of the workout and really half butt them. So I throw them in at the beginning, kind of get them out of the way, put a lot of emphasis on them, and then move on to other movements. So we'll typically start with probably a face pull to warm up, and do a couple working sets doing some face pulls for the rear delts, and then move on to some sort of fly. I'm thinking a dumbbell fly, like a heavier dumbbell fly, sounds pretty good. And then after that, once our rear delts feel like they've been hit enough, we'll move on to our pressing motion, which, like I said, I don't know what it's going to be today. I might just man up and do the shoulder press machine, because I did dumbbell shoulder press last week, and it just didn't feel too tremendous. So even though the shoulder press machine doesn't feel like the most comfortable, the tension is really good, which I like. So we'll probably just end up doing the shoulder press machine. And then after that, spamming side raises. I think side raises, almost stalled out there because I was on a hill. I think side raises are the most important workout out of any workout there is for aesthetics. If you can do side raises 3 or 4 times a week, you're gonna see your shoulders grow tremendously. And people often just kind of throw them in at the end of their arm days, or throw them in at like the end of their shoulder days. Like they'll do primarily pressing movements on their shoulder days, and then throw side raises in. It's like, bro, that should be your like the majority of your shoulder workout. So having them at the end of my workout, my shoulder workout right now, kind of concerns me, because I want to have as much energy to do those, but I am trying to emphasize those rear delts and that pressing motion right now. So typically I would recommend, you know, just like if you could only do one shoulder movement, I would tell you to only do side raises. But right now I have some small areas I'm trying to hone in on, like the rear delts and like the progressive overloading with the shoulder press. So I didn't think about how bad this traffic would be, but we'll go ahead and keep filming. But yeah, there's a few movements for each muscle group, or at least there's one movement for each muscle group, I would say, that like
if you had to, you could only do that one movement and like see gains. Like for shoulders, it's side raises. For chest, I would say it's incline bench. For back, I would say lat pull downs or just like a basic barbell row. Arms, preacher curls, or I mean biceps, preacher curls, and then triceps, probably I would say maybe skull crushers or like maybe like a behind the head like bar, what do they call it? You kind of get what I'm saying. Like you put the bar on the cable, you set it low, and then you flip around and do kind of like a skull crusher motion. I kind of forget what it's called right now off the top of my head, but there's a few movements that just feel so good for each muscle group and are so stimulating that you could honestly only do those and be fine. So I like to think about that when I'm trying to simplify my workouts, is like, okay, what movement feels the best for this muscle group? And then just try to do as many of those as you can. Now, obviously you want to throw in other movements to hit other areas of the muscle. But honestly, at the end of the day, if you choose one movement and you're going hard enough, you're going to end up hitting all areas of that muscle group. Like if you are doing if you're doing shoulder press, well, that's probably a bad example. If you're doing skull crushers, for example, and you know that's hitting the, what would that be? The long head of the tricep, the inside, I think. That's primarily the muscle that's firing. But like towards the end of those sets, when you're starting to get tired, those other muscle groups are going to start firing too. So don't overcomplicate your workouts. Just you know, pick one or two movements for each muscle group that you really enjoy, and go from there. You'll obviously build off that and find other movements that you like to throw in, maybe other movements that are more specific for other muscle groups. But at the end of the day, pick one or two movements that feel really good and drill those. So that's kind of today's little rant, kind of today's little I guess you could say little lecture. With these talks, I really don't want to like have any sort of structure. I kind of just want to talk to you guys, kind of tell you what's on my mind, let the conversation or let the thoughts go where they want to go. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the gym. I'm almost to the destination where I shoot my Bible verse videos, so we're gonna get over there, film a quick video, and then we will see you next in the gym, probably starting on face pulls. See you. All right, so we already did a couple warm-ups, but for rear delts, I want to use like the longest attachment. So we have like the super long like tricep attachment or double handle attachment. So just gonna do these for probably 5 sets, and then rear delts or rear delt flies. Now I do rear delts also on back day as well, just because there are already a lot of like rowing motions. So I'll throw in like rear delts as well with back. So I said I want to emphasize them on my shoulder days, but I also keep in mind too, like I'm going to do some rear delts on my back day as well. So.
So keep in mind, probably won't show all the sets of every workout with this style of filming just because obviously that's a lot of sets to watch. But you'll probably get 2 or 3 clips from each one. One thing to consider with like doing rear delts is like finding a stable spot, because a lot of people do them standing up, and that's kind of tough because you have to really brace your core and your glutes and things like that. So if you can sit down in some way, or like, I know Sam lays down, Sam Sulek lays down, so you could try that. I kind of like to just kind of sit down. And you're gonna notice I do like really high reps with rear delts. That's just because if you go too heavy, you start to pull a little too much with your back. So I'd rather go lighter and really, really squeeze those rear delts. Time for rear delts, or rear delt flies. Now on these, I've done them super light and strict before, and I don't know why, but I would much rather like kind of go heavier and swing them a little bit. I don't know why. It just feels better than going like super, super light. I might like go super light towards the end maybe. Or if I do like chest supported rear delt fly, I'll do like super light. But if I'm just gonna stand, it might just be bro science, but I feel like there's something to, kind of getting a little bit of swing, but also, doing some heavier weight. I always like switch up on kind of like my philosophies a lot. I feel like at the end of the day, the one thing that I stay true to is like just going hard no matter what weight. But like with like these, I was saying I typically go heavier. That always changes. Like in 2 weeks, maybe I'll find a way that feels better going lighter. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you guys are learning with me. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Like obviously try it out for yourself and see what you like and what feels better for you. But like I'll do these for a couple weeks and then eventually they stop feeling better and good, and I'll just like go to something light. No, you're fine, you're fine. But eventually I'll go to like, a different movement, or maybe even go lighter, and that'll feel better. So if I say something like you should go light on these or you should really go slow on these, like it's always changing. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now we're gonna do the rear delt fly machine. Now you could say I'll probably drop in weight and just go lighter. But something to kind of consider with rear delts is like we always go like super light and try to isolate your rear delts. But I don't know if that's necessarily the right way to do it, because if you think about like your rear delts are typically so overdeveloped, or your front delts are usually really overdeveloped just because you do so many compound movements like shoulder press and bench press with your front delts, and they're incorporated in. So you almost got to think, okay, well, should I just do more compound, heavier movements with my back and then my rear delts will grow? Or should I treat them differently and isolate them? So I don't know, I'm kind of in the middle on that. So maybe you guys can comment below and tell me what you think. But I think you probably should just go heavier on like your back days and heavier on your face pulls and heavier on, you know, some rear delt movements, so that they are, even though it is incorporating more muscle groups, I think the weight aspect, the heavier weight aspect probably overloads it a little. All right, so first off, I have two fans come up and talk to me, and that's just the best. Especially one of them was super enthusiastic about God and how much I've been able to help him, and he's just happy I'm spreading the word of God, and that's just awesome. I love to see I'm actually making an impact in the world and, you know, helping some of you guys out. So that's awesome. But this is my second set of shoulder press. The first set didn't record because battery died, but I was talking about how progressive overloading on shoulder press is good, but for me, I was kind of reflecting on what I've been doing, and I've been going back and forth between gyms. So I guess I haven't really been able to progressive overload because the machines are different and the weight is different. But ideally, for shoulder press, you would want to probably stick to the same machine and progressive overload each week, meaning like do five more pounds each week. For me, I've been kind of going back and forth between school and home and other gyms. So I haven't been able to like you know, critically progressive overload, but like I kind of have a general idea of what I've been doing. I know whatever I can get for around 8, that's kind of where I'm, where I'm sitting is like a good weight. So I put my wrist straps on here because the handles on this shoulder press machine bug me. Like I was saying earlier, this machine kind of bugs me because it's kind of outward. The hands are, even at the top, the hands are still facing out. So I put my straps on here, kind of like level my hands out. I don't know if it's really doing much, but let's go ahead and get that for a second set. Big squeeze at the top. Come on, 2 more. Come on, 1 more. All right, last set. I'm gonna go up a little more. I wasn't really counting on that last one, but I'm guessing we probably got like 10 to 15, somewhere around there. So we'll go up a little. Like I said, ideally we would, I know on my other machine at home, I've been doing like 190, kind of been where I've been sitting at. So if I knew what that was on here, I could probably add some weight, but just kind of feeling it out now. Last one. Do 3 more. Ooh, come on. Ooh. Oh no. Ooh. Sometimes shoulder press feels really good, and then other times I feel it more in my traps and just like shoulder joints more than anything. Almost like the muscle's not working, but the joints are just under tension. Maybe it's more like triceps pressing it than the shoulder. So I should probably start going a little lighter maybe and trying to feel it a little better. I don't know. Like I said, I'm learning along the way with you guys. Side raises now. And I'm gonna do like a bunch of variations. So I'll do like the typical out to the front and then mess around with other variations once I get tired there. Just because I feel like there's so many like striations in your shoulder, or at least like angles that you can hit your shoulder. So I like to kind of switch it up. But primarily we'll go, the typical kind of leaning forward side raise. Come on, 3 more. I'm gonna bob it down here a couple times. Oh man. So we'll do like 6 sets here, and maybe another side raise. Might do like sitting down. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll do sitting down, single arm side raise after these. Oh, shoot. I will say I feel like there is something to like going lighter on side raises, for the reason that like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of limiting factors, but also because you can get it higher. And I feel like lots of times we stop pretty prematurely on our side raises. I might even be doing it right now. But I feel like, we typically stop here, but I don't see anything wrong with, getting that last squeeze at the top with a little bit of a lighter weight. So hopefully we can do that with the single arm ones that we're about to do after this. Go a little bit lighter and really get that hard squeeze at the top. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just want to grab that.
Yeah, you're fine. So those might be the move more often, even for like if I'm doing both, just because you can kind of let the weight go underneath of you and your legs aren't stopping you from getting that stretch. So you could go like here and let it really stretch and then up. Because when you're standing, your legs, you obviously have to stop at your legs. So let's go ahead and go pose. All right, so that's gonna be the shoulder day. Hopefully you guys like the new setup that we have for kind of just the vlogs. I was talking with a buddy and I was like, how do you think I should structure like my YouTube video to kind of like incorporate my style, like my sort of vibe, I guess you could say. And he was like, dude, just basically, honestly, like do what Sam Sulik's doing, but put your own twist on it, because I've done this kind of videos before and I did get a lot of crap just because I knew Sam and I was kind of like
basically copying like his same style of video just because it was so simple. But my buddy was basically like, just keep doing that, but put your own spin on it and make it unique to yourself. So, I thought, okay, maybe the motorcycle would be dope, like riding on the motorcycle and kind of talking about, whatever it may be that day. And maybe we'll start incorporating things like, maybe smoking a stogie and, just having like a deep conversation about something, or, showing you like my post-workout meals, or like, I love Guinness, I love beer. So maybe showing you like what beer I'm drinking that night, and just kind of getting more like personal and showing you guys like my life, because I feel like I've been able to do that on Instagram, kind of show people like my life, lifting, motorcycles. I love beer, I love smoking cigars, I love Jesus Christ, and I've been able to like show that really well on Instagram. I think that's why I've done so well over there. But on YouTube, I haven't really been able to show that side of me. So I think with this setup now, I'll be able to, show you guys a little more about myself. And hopefully relate to a lot more of you guys. So let's go ahead and pose down before I lose this pump. But so I think with this ball coming up here probably in like November, I think one of the main goals is to basically do what I did on the last balk. If you watched the last balk or kept up with my last balk on Instagram, I really emphasized shoulders and chest and arms. Mainly shoulders and chest, just because I was gaining weight in the midsection. I really wanted to grow these upper areas, broaden it out, so that your eyes wouldn't go straight to the stomach. Because I've had balks before where my shoulders and chest weren't broad and weren't full, and then you just look fat. One example I like to use is like the Trend twins. They're they're pretty bulky most of the year, but you honestly just think they're absolutely jacked because their shoulders and chest are so big and so overwhelming that you really don't pay attention to like what their body fat percentage is down here. Now, it is good to have abs, good to be lean, but honestly, I would much rather be kind of like, probably 10 to 16% body fat, somewhere within there, like a comfortable range where I can kind of eat what I want, or at least be at a good calorie intake, a comfortable calorie intake, and also be like super broad up top, like just like kind of like that thick, like construction worker dad sort of look. Just super big chest, super broad shoulders, not super visible abs, but just look absolutely yoked. That's kind of the goal, I think, in the end, is to be like, kind of have the Trend twin physique. Maybe not their physique, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Anyway, that's going to be the goal of the bulk. Big shoulders, big chest. Obviously, we want to keep filling out our arms. Our back has always been big. Our legs have always been big. So as long as I'm hitting those somewhat, those are going to grow. But shoulders, chest, arms. But with that being said, guys, we'll see you next time. I love you guys. Hope you guys like this video. Maybe comment down below what you liked most about this video. Maybe some critiques. Obviously, the motorcycles clips were a lot really shaky, but we'll get that figured out. I love you guys. Go follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Blaine Riley Lifts. Remember, code Riley at Legion Athletics for your supplements. See ya.